See by the title, this show is for black people only. I just put up two videos attacking the nonsense that that black people in America are not from Africa. When I went to that 1000 Go Ahead channel, I'm an awakened person. I'm also reasonably intelligent. So I see things. I look at his face, I look at what he uses to represent himself, and I look at the little squirrel there. It's like when I look at your screen names, I look at how you represent yourself. It's the first thing I did. And I started looking at the titles of the videos, but also started asking myself the question, why would someone even want to come out and say this? What is the benefit behind this? You've got to look at, from a game point of view, what's the game that's being played here? What benefit does it serve? Then you begin to wake up to the truth of messages like this. Okay, who does it benefit? It doesn't benefit African Americans. What benefit to African Americans is for something like we're indigenous to this continent. Would it not make the Native Americans pissed off at us more than they already have been programmed to be? You got to use your head and think now. They're already, angry at us for trying to steal parts of their history. Latin America is angry at us about the Olmecs. Actually, the original Latins that found it said they were Negroid. It was the European descent folks, Americans, that got in there and fucked it up. It always reminds me of when I watched that one series of videos. It wasn't Raiders of the Lost Ark, but it's kind of like that, where the guy uncovered stuff and they just buried in this huge warehouse. Had all this stuff in it. You guys remember that video? Don't recall the name of the movie, but this chick gets buried away. We got to recognize that, for us black folks, that the people that control white folks are not stupid. That's how they got to their power and rose that group of people up to be their lapdogs. Okay? What are they afraid of with our race? Notice our race is the one race that they do not get along with. Why? Ask yourself why. They get along with Asians. They get along with most of the other races they tolerate, but they don't tolerate us. They do all these machinations to fuck with our race. They fucked our music. Now we destroy each other. They fucked our community. Why? Again, ask yourself, why are they putting out this type of information? This can't be just the work of just one low self-esteem black dude. I can't accept that. Unless they got into his head. By the way, they do have people within us, within our group, that walks amongst us that look like us. You've probably heard almost every scholar, black scholar, say something like that. We call them coons. Call them Uncle Toms. Look at how strong a coon will fight for their masters. There really are destroyed black people like that out there. Look at Sheriff Coon Clark, right? Look how hard he fights for his masters. Look what he says and calls us animals. There are blacks out there like that. That's your first mistake if you start accepting this shit. But ask yourself, what benefit does it give to those in power? Now, I'm not talking about white people. I'm talking about their masters, the people that rule the planet, the majority of them happen to have white skin. But it means nothing to them. What is important to them is keeping the power, by the way. And we need not get involved in their tools, which we're all tools of them, but their tools war. You know, their people woke up, start talking about conspiracy stuff, and JFK talked about, you know, secret governments within governments. They blew his head off, but their people start waking up and noticing what's going on, and they start fighting back. But that's really not. Is that really our battle? So what are they afraid of with us? What benefit does this have to them? Or let's just say they're the power behind the racists. What benefit does it give to racists to put out some shit like this? Use your head and think. See with the eyes of game. When you grow game within you, you have the ability to see. So they went after science, but yet still they use science to present their message. But they went after DNA. And there are black geneticists. There are black genetics companies. The ability of the geneticist, and there was a white geneticist that came out of the UK that came into the States. I had his video on my old channel, if you guys remember that. He went to the South and tested people. The people in the South that he tested, all of them had black DNA. That's scary. That means, think about the amount of breeding that would take, well, it only takes a couple of generations, but to produce pure white, like the people in the South. To hide all traces of their African roots or African blood. All of them had black DNA, are the ones he tested. You guys remember that video? And every black that he tested had European DNA. We saw that guy that wanted to have a white-only town. 14% black. Now, I'm not saying every white person in the South has African DNA, but the ones that he tested did, as he was saying. So would it not be beneficial to the power behind all this nonsense between us and white folks to keep blacks separated? Because Africans are coming here. And notice how Africans are programmed not to like us. Think about it. This information would keep us apart. They're afraid that if we get together, which is true, if blacks ever do get together on this planet. Look how we did in this country, even amongst oppression. There was a black man that helped invent the first computer. Black man helped invent the chip for the cell phone. In every walk of science, there we are. First open heart surgery. Eli Whitney stole the idea for the cotton gin from a black man, from a slave. This shit's now coming out. Edison, the light bulb, the filament, a black man. They don't want white people knowing this, though. They want white people to think that we were nothing but ignorant savages coming off of plantations. And look at the way we speak. The majority of black folks speak. The dumbed down English. They try to start that ebonics shit to keep us separate, to keep us out of their world, number one. So we show up for a job. I be looking for a job, boss. I be looking for a job, boss. Sound like that? If you guys could step back and see the games that's being played on us. Now, again, what are they afraid of? What is the benefit here? All you gotta do is ask yourself, when you see shit like this, what's the benefit behind this? Who does this benefit? No benefit to black folks. Think about it. Okay, let's say in a wild, impossible universe that it was true. Which we know it's not, but I can't even imagine it being true. It's so impossible. But I'm trying hard. But let's say it. What benefit does us? When all life came out of Africa. Panani just posted a comment. Well, my motherland is Switzerland. My fatherland is Ireland. And I said, if that makes you feel good, knock yourself out. If you're white, if you don't like the idea that you come from Africa, cool. Go run a religion if it makes you feel good. I like knowing the truth. I don't want to be lied to. I don't like being lied to. It doesn't feel good to me. It gives me a sour feeling in my stomach. So that geneticist that came here, he said that on his show, God damn it, one of his organs came from his African ancestor. Now I told that to one of my guys I trained, the one I've talked about before. He's actually a closet racist. He just won't admit it to himself. That's when he made that comment that, well, I'm pure white. Basically, nothing in his body came out of Africa is what he wants to believe. And he actually runs to religion to make himself feel better about it. And if you're white and you're actually watching this when you shouldn't be, if that makes you feel better, cool, knock yourself out. I don't care. Okay? I just like knowing the truth myself. And I believe in giving the truth on this channel. Whether it's good truth about black people or bad truth about black people, good truth about white people or bad truth about white people. Okay? Or Asian, whatever. I don't care. I believe in giving you guys the honest truth. So when I see blatant bullshit like this, I've got to go after it to protect my people. Because we are easy to follow anything that will make us feel good. Because it doesn't feel good being black in America, by the way. Especially when you're an awakened black. I've been through hell since I've woke up. And it only gets worse. Like the more I see about like this. That scared the shit out of me racially. When I said in that video. It really did. I get this charge of this acid that goes through my body. Like adrenaline or something. Cold feeling. To know there are people out there putting this kind of thing out. Which benefits us how? What's the benefit there? Only to some fucked up mind, if this fella is actually real, to make him not feel like, I don't know, African? What's the benefit there? I don't get it. Maybe Amun Ra can tell me what's the benefit of not being African? Amun Ra, you do know that your light skin comes from a white ancestor, right? Or you think you were just born with light skin? It just magically happened within a race. Or that Yaqub, the big head, put it within you after 666 years or whatever it was, creation of the white man. Even if you ask yourself, why would he do something like that? Why create a race of people to rule the planet? Think. I guess thinking isn't something that's taught in schools these days. Critical thinking. That's why I like that girl Sin. She uses critical thinking. I don't agree with everything, but I like most of her thought processes. And it's my right to not agree with everything. You know, I understand her feelings on interracial dating, and I can agree with it. It may not work for me, but I can agree with it. As that fellow that called the Veginator, I agree with what he said also. He's white. He wants to have white kids. I agree with that. I applaud him for that. My kids made their own choices on who they wanted to. It's not my responsibility or not my saying of who they want to have kids with. I know how Jovina's father felt at first when their daughter had the first black baby. Actually, that was his favorite. Became his favorite. But I know what white people go through when they have a biracial introduce their family. I understand. I'm not so closed-minded I can't see another's point of view. I mean, I agree with it, but I can see it. But the people that want to keep our race down, we have to stop them. We've got to wake up to see when game is being pulled on us. Yeah, okay, so they got to smoke weed. If you're black, you probably smoke weed. We were driving home from the restaurant. I looked over in this BMW. There was a nappy head, with braids in his hair dude, smoking a blunt, playing rap music. Some new rap artist, I heard him before. And he had some old tired ass hoe in the car. I can look at blacks to tell what their genetics are right away. Her mother was a mulatto because she had that color hair, like Obama's kids. When one of the parents were mulatto, that brownish color to the hair. That girl had the same thing. So, and I saw him smoke the weed, and I was telling Jovina, they got us. So if you're one of the people that smoke weed, they got us. They're not stupid. They hired the think tanks. As all the rap companies, if you watch, I think they even mentioned that in Hidden Colors 4. If you're black, go buy the movie. Buy Hidden Colors 4. They give you a lot of truth in there. White people can't stand that movie. The racist ones can't stand it. In fact, they'll try to clown you. Where you learn that Hidden Colors 4? You've probably seen those comments from coming out of white folks, but they hate it because it exposes truth slanted from a black point of view. I didn't say slanted. It shows the truth coming out of the black point of view, which is actually the truth. But it's coming from black folks, is my point. And they don't like that. I was on Facebook yesterday. There was a fellow I've been dealing with from my high school. He's a Trump fan. And I posted something on his... There was a video he posted of... You guys know what a manatee is? They originally were called sea mermaids. I saw a documentary on them back 30 years ago. So I said, oh, that looks like a sea mermaid. And this white guy posted, it's called a manatee. And I said, actually, they also were named sea mermaids. And I posted a link to the documentary on it, or actually an article on it. And I posted to him, I collect useless information. Like I can tell your last name is French. Goutet, his name is Goutet. That's how you pronounce it, Gautier. And he goes, yes. White folks don't like it when blacks know more than they do, is my point. He got really pissed. And he said, excuse me, no offense, I'm trying to read the article. He was on a different page. I was actually still talking to him. I said a few more comments. He basically, leave me alone. You already showed me up. So when I was young, I learned to hide my intelligence. I learned that at an early age. That's why I told you guys I used to pretend like I was really stupid. To be able to fit in with the other blacks also, unfortunately. But I saw they had already dumbed down my race. So I pretended to be one of the less intelligent blacks when I first came into California. I've talked about them in my past shows and all that. Until they tested me. I showed off on a test. They stuck me in the class with the fucking eggheads. That's why, and I was showing off. I was tired of being amongst the dumbed down ones. In the class were a lot of blacks, and I guess a lot of blacks in there. But I saw what they had already started doing to my race, to us black people, way back when I was in junior high school. And I learned before that to hide it. They don't like it when you're smarter than they are. But we got to learn to get along. And we got to learn to stop the people that are controlling us. Okay? We got to learn to stop the bullshit between the races. And some people say it's going to take a war. And there's that saying that when the war comes, it won't be televised. The war is happening right now. The races are at war with us. They are organized. If you're Caucasian watching this, I just realized I'm doing this live. Fuck. I should have actually recorded this. But the war is going on right now. It's been going on. Just haven't reached this crescendo, the crescendo of it yet. Crescendo. Climax. But it's been going on. There is a racial war going on in America right now. Whether you believe it or not. And it's getting worse, unfortunately. Look at the comments. Ross J2, it doesn't feel good to be black all over the world. White supremacy is a global system. Yes, it is. But I live in America. I don't know what it feels like to be African in the fucking motherland. Okay? To be dominated by whites. There are some countries where that has been ran out. And look at South Africa. Someone brown, at least, and someone non-white is, the power and control now. It's starting to reverse itself. Walter, I've seen Hidden Colors 1. Well, 1 through 3. We'll see number 4. Walter says complete mindfuck. I don't know what you mean by that. Walter Lacayo Martinez. I have no idea what you mean by that. I'm going to assume that it's negative. Or you talk about the mindfuck of black Americans. Everything in Hidden Colors 1 through 3, I already learned the truth. So it wasn't a mindfuck. I already knew everything. It was only in Hidden Colors 4 that I actually learned new stuff. Like how whites used to used to use our skin. I didn't know that. I learned little bits and pieces. Yes, Crouching, we are from Africa. Don't believe the separatist garbage of American blacks. We are from Africa. Yes, we are. I got to do something to get us the dumbed down. It doesn't seem like it's mostly dumbed down. It seemed like Amon Ra has learned a lot of stuff, and he's susceptible to falling for anything new that comes along because of his low racial self-esteem. Here in America, we have low racial self-esteem. That's why we run to lighter-skinned blacks and worship them. My mother worshipped I worship my father too. I have to admit, I was susceptible to it for a long time. It wasn't until the last few years that I actually woke up to the truth that, I let him get away with cheating on my mom all those years instead of being angry at him. But I love my dad. But I do admit that I did put him on the pedestal. That's our natural tendency, I guess. It's programmed to us. I'm one of the older blacks where some of that old programming is still within us. Like I watched my parents, bow to white people, and get suddenly nice. And I'm watching, what's the name of that damn TV show? I keep forgetting the fucking name of it. Because I was going to talk about it. Name of the TV show that I'm currently watching. Let me go to my desktop. My downloads. Defiance. If you ever seen the TV show Defiance, notice how Daytok's wife, she's actually, I believe she's half Asian, half white, but she bows a lot and smiles. That was my parents when white people came around. And that's the behavior that I learned to change my behavior when I got around white folks. So it's still programmed in the race, except for the new blacks. They don't have that programming. That's why they're the soldiers. Crown Chaser, I was always aware of the light skin, black skin parallel. It's a damn shame that my generation is carrying it on. Walter, it woke me up. Thank you for answering that. Okay, good. I had an idea, but I didn't know how great we black folks are. And yes, Crown says, I've always been aware of the dark skin appraisal of light. You're like, yeah, I was aware of it because of my mom. My mom told me, I asked her, after my dad died, why'd you stay with them? Because she had low self-esteem. And I kind of knew for that our dark-skinned brethren had lower self-esteem. And that I already knew that, from teaching the game, that light-skinned brothers, they had higher self-esteem. Many of them, the majority. It's only on this channel that I've seen some low self-esteem, light-skinned and even biracials come in. And within those, I've noticed that the white supremacy thing is really strong. One brother whose father was white said, "Why can't I be white? He looked like a mulatto. Why can't I be white?" The brother, he actually came to my house. I had him stay overnight. Not to mention names. You know who you are. But I'll never forget what you said. The reason, white folks set up this whole thing called white to get all the people that guy Visionary talked about. The Spanish, the Polish, the Ukrainians, under one banner. They did it. They came together. That's why they conquered the world. Okay? That's one of the ways they did it. They came together as one. But notice how they don't want us to come together as one. Because that would give us too much power. I'm not trying to speak against white folks, but I am speaking against white supremacy. And if you're a white person, you should want to destroy white supremacy because it does evil stuff. To keep a race down is evil. I know you benefit from it, but it's still a bad thing. Crown Chaser, right, totally understand your point of view. Mine comes from years of being told I wasn't handsome or whatnot because I was dark-skinned, but I always knew better. Hey, look at all the dark-skinned brothers that are considered handsome. Now they're worshiping African. Look at the African actors who are considered who are dark-skinned. Or transplanted Africans like Idris Elba. He has no white in his blood. I think he's Nigerian. There's that one that he's real famous. He plays in all the African movies in La Amistad. He's related to my son's last wife. They're both Benin. They're through being Benin. Exactly, plain old-fashioned unity. Be surprised what we could do for us. Crown Chaser, right? I never bought into the whole light skin is better. Yeah, even as a kid. My mom always said the darker the berry, the sweeter the juice, and I actually agree with that. Being in the middle, I agree with that. Being white means nothing to me, he says. Yeah, it does, Panani. Because you stated yourself, your fatherland will always be this. As I said to you, if that makes you feel better, cool. I don't have a problem with it. It's the way you're programmed and raised. Not calling you a liar, but examine yourself deeper, and you'll see that it does. It's what makes you you. You identify with it. When you get around a bunch of, let's say you're in the UK right now, which you are. Let's say you get on a bus and there's nothing but brown people on the bus. You would feel awkward. You would notice your whiteness. Crown Chaser, Morse Chestnut, Idris Elba, just to name a few. Michael Jordan was F something or other. I lies in my childhood. Yeah. I'm being told dark-skinned aunt thing, everybody wearing the shoes. Sorry for my typos. Yeah. What the fuck happened? I can't read this shit, man. I have no idea what she said except Morris Chestnut. He's another one, yes. The fellow that played Blade. He looks like my ex-wife's father, except he's rounder. Same mouth. He had natural guns, short. So I don't want to really talk about the game. I just want to put this message out there. I'm worried about us as this war continues. As I said before, we are at war right now, and the opposition is organized. See, we think that only face that we see are those idiots called the KKK. They're not. If these rap companies, these white people own the rap companies, hire these big think tanks, those are the faces of the people that we need to be looking at. Not the idiots on the streets. They're soldiers. In Hidden Colors 4, I learned about Coors Beer, the guy that owns Coors Beer. I learned about his involvement. Why would someone that rich go to so much trouble to hate black people? And he created news shows. He had something called TVN network back in the early 70s. A whole network. Out of TVN rose Fox News, by the way. PBT just did a video on that. That's where I learned that. PBT just did a fucking video on that. And I'm talking about Professor Black Truth. That's who I like to get my information from. And he doesn't get into calling, white folks bad names. I don't like when they start calling white folks bad names and devils this and all that kind of silly shit. He just gives you the raw truth from a black perspective. I do watch TBA every now and then. And his is more a bit of a militant slant. Crown Chaser, yes, I was saying Jordan was jet black. And in my childhood, we idolized him paying outrageous prices for his shoes. Light skin is thrown down our throats. Yes, it is. Especially if they have different colored eyes. I kind of rammed this into my ex-friend Thomas Negative's throat because he worships Irish because his last name is Keane. And somewhere in the his background there was an Irish man there. Also, hold on, let me come. I'll be right back. Sorry to check on a download. He has green eyes, and I used to go out with him. He's in the hospital, laying there in the bed because they took one of his legs off, but they also had to amputate a toe where my mother was. And I started talking about this stuff, and he pretended to go along with it. The stuff that blacks are going through and how blacks worship white supremacy and stuff like that. And I was saying it in a way that he used to be like that, basically. And I explained to Jovine he was like that before we went in there. He was one of them. If it was too many blacks in the room, he says it's too dark in here. He worships, white. His sister, same thing. She married a white man in England. Or she actually came here. She met him here. And his kids are, biracial. Her kids are biracial, in other words. And he worships them. In my neighborhood, a lot of light-skinned guys try to act so hard. That's okay. They actually have a hard life. Because black folks have trouble accepting our biracial. They're stuck in the middle. Now, I don't like it when they act like they're superior and call themselves non-black. Unfortunately, the one-drop rule. White folks would never accept you. And they try. I hate the ones like, I just looked at Tariq's video on Amber Rose. And Amber Rose's mother is a black Cape Verdean. They're mixed with Portuguese. She looks like Pam Grier. The mother looks like Pam Grier. But she identifies herself as being biracial. So I'm not black in one of her shows, according to the Tariq show. And I don't really care for that. My dad, except the fact he was black, he got treated when he got in the military as like every other black out there. Although I asked him when he was a kid, was he treated that way? And he said yes. He was born in a little white town in the middle of Georgia. And everybody knew his father. They didn't mess with him because his father carried 7 pistols. And he's known to use them. So they didn't mess with him. But they didn't mess with the fair-haired kids. But he wasn't allowed to sit in the movie theater with them when his dad took him to the movies. He had to sit at the top, I believe it was, and his father at the bottom. So blacks who lived through that, the biracials who lived through that kind of shit, had it rammed into them that you're still not good enough. Crown Chaser, Panani, going back up. Walter, in my neighborhood, a lot of light-skinned guys, try to act hard. Panani, my mind is so clear since I stopped watching the lies on TV. I want to talk about that TV show that I'm watching in a minute. The change is going to happen, Crown says. It's have to happen at a low level. We can't continue to place false hope in affluent blacks who have their own special interest groups. Exactly, I agree 100% with that. I agree with that 100%. We can't place our trust in our own race of the old ones. My generation going back. They're power brokers. They work for the dominant race. They get their handouts. I hate to say it, I disagreed with a lot of the sayings that, we sold out. We didn't, my race, I think they're actually talking about my father's race. When after civil rights, and then continuing to my race. We didn't do anything. We were raised by our parents. We went to school. We went out and got a job. We didn't try to rise up until the Rodney King. We saw that and we rose up. Okay? There was no internet back then. We didn't know what was going on across the world. Of course, the white media was not going to post how they did someone out in Florida like they do nowadays. So it was also a matter of the media. And remember, the media programs minds. Now, if you know the truth of what J. Edgar Hoover's job was, to prevent the rise of another black messiah. That was his directive, his goal. Because we were rising up, and they had to put a stop to that. If you know about the civil rights days, we were rioting everywhere. We were having marches, protests. We wanted to be treated like equal fucking human beings. I was a little boy when this was going on. There was a time period when we traveled across country. We couldn't stop. My brothers and I had to piss into Coke bottles. I remember that to this very day. Some places would not serve us gas. I remember the bathrooms as we traveled. I don't remember a laughing barrel where we had to stick our head in this barrel if we found something funny in white folks' presence. That's a lot of power. And I can see why white folks love that power. Power is corruptive. Crown Chaser, Walter, I've never seen it like that. I lived it. Television controls minds. Yes. So, as we know, TV, Hollywood, is corrupted. I said it on my last channel. I saw them going against Obama when he first got elected. I don't know if you guys remember that shit they started pulling. They would put these guys that look like Obama in TV shows, have them incompetent. That kept happening over and again. They got tired of it. Well, now they're still, plotting against black people. In the show Defiance, I talked about it. They have a new race called the Olmecs. Remember Olmecs? Olmecs. Of all races, they call them Olmecs. And they're the purple black race. Remember in Defiance, they have the albinos. They're the top. Notice how they're still worship white supremacy as dominant. In that show, they have these humans who they call pink skins, pink pigs, and other derogatory names. but they're still worshiping white supremacy. They have these humans paint themselves white and getting white wigs and going to these underground parties pretending to be white. That is programming white supremacy, keeping it strong within white folks and anyone that watch the show. You got to learn to see this bullshit what they're doing. They're not just making science fiction shows. They didn't have to put that in there like that. Okay? So they've created this new race suddenly. And of course, this new race, because they want to program us against Arabs. This new race dresses like they came out of the desert. Almost the exact same garb. If you've seen the show, you know what I'm talking about. Blatant. It's not even hidden. So white supremacy is still kept in there. The dominant race are the super whites. So what you can gather from that is that if you're one of the lower whites, Irish, they consider you guys lower whites. But the people like Jovina's race, what Hitler called the mud people, that's people who have admix in them, Spanish, Italian, Portuguese. If you're one of the mud race, those, close to not the actual blacks, but the ones he's didn't like because they weren't pure Aryan. That's what that's about. So Hitler didn't like the English. They're not Aryans. So they're separating white within white. We're the super white, so we're at the top. You're the lower class whites. Look how they did the Irish. That's what's coming down the pipeline. You notice how they've been putting redheads in every TV show. They got redheads in this one. Even the star guy has auburn red hair. His daughter has red hair. She's an alien. So the albinos, they're actually a race of albinos. They're on the top. Pink people, that's white folks. You guys tend to have pink skin, undertones. You're in the middle. Then the other races are below you that have non-super white skin. But they brought this predator amongst you in the show that's preying on you. Now, if you remember if you ever seen Birth of a Nation, is a movie that the white supremacists love. That was actually remade by a black man, and they're now not going to show it. They came up with some sex charge against him suddenly because he redid their classic movie, and it showed it was all about why you should hate blacks, basically because they're raping white women. It was a non-talkie movie. That means there was no voice. It was in the beginning of video production. I don't know why they hold on to an old movie with no fucking voice in it. But the old top hats they wore and shit like that, they showed these coons raping, or these blacks raping folks. Yeah. Looks like we have more comments coming in as people are tuning in. I think it's probably an all-black show right now, and I apologize to my Caucasian viewers, but I got to get this message out there. It's got to be stopped. We can't let this shit go on. I was hoping that more intelligent blacks like, hey, it's a black guy would show up, but he's probably at work. Eric, Charles Darwin played a major role in this. Yes, he did. J10, one of our African brothers who was born here in America. The reason they like to separate African from African American is because, one, Africans do not have the strong white supremacy programming due to strong culture and history. Thank you for this truth, J10. J10 also says, 2, that type of history and culture that Africans bring can influence and break white supremacy programming. Again, more truth. But they also have got Africans to not like us. Irish see themselves and blacks. It's a good chance that's why hate blacks so much. Irish see themselves. You're on your cell phone. It's not coming through, man. Panani, it cool the truth. need to come out. Willie Lynch fucked us up. Ratchet Kingdom. Is our money worth more in Africa? You know, I actually don't know the answer to that. You're talking about the American dollar. And I don't know. It's something I haven't investigated or looked at. If it comes to finance, I don't look at financial stuff. I have enough trouble making my own money. I wish I could agree with you. The black man is God, but I can't agree with that. Look at the position we're in. If we're God, why are we in this position? We got to stop the fantasy shit, Daz. I call that the fantasy stuff. It sounds good on paper, and if it makes you feel good, cool, but it makes us look like we're stupid too. I'm sorry to say that. Because I come from an intellectual point of view and seeing the truth. If we were God, we never would have even ended up in this position. We are the original man. If you want to call the original man God, fine, but we are the original man. Crown Change, yes, I sing Birth of a Nation. It's rumored that the present time Woodrow Wilson stand still up and give it a... Yeah, he stand up and gave a standing ovation. Yeah, we know that Woodrow Wilson did not care for blacks. Look at the time period. Can you see how white folks were programmed not to like blacks, though? Can we at least see that? See, I try to see what's going on. I know that white people are programmed not to like us. Even back when they started invading Africa, England, they put out a belief that we had 3 legs. That was our dick. Jealousy of our dicks when they went down to Africa and looked on them damn loincloths. You know, the original Africans. They've been a little more gifted than we are, I guess. But penis envy. Penis has been an issue with man all over the planet. We're penis oriented. But they put out, I saw a cartoonization of us having three legs. That was in England. Ratch, I was thinking of a movement over here. Crown Chaser Fantasy. We all came from kings and queens. No, we didn't. Sorry, we didn't. Let's let go of the concept of kings and queens. I don't even like kings and queens. I don't like people to rule other people, to be honest with you. I hate the idea of kings and queens. There's nobody better than me. I refuse to bow my head. There was a light-skinned black. I could tell his parents were Jewish. Around 2007, 2008. He was one of those light-skinned blacks. He was mulatto that actually worshiped, Caucasian people. He tried to come within the black community. I'm the first person saw through his bullshit. He was into that, devil music, underground type of shit, magic. And he said, he believed that he was descended from a king and we should worship him type of shit. Idris Elba looks like Grease. You know who looks like Grease? The Olmec in the TV show. I was going to tell Grease. I was going to send him a fucking video. He's tall, got the similar chin structure. I don't know what Grease, not the same skull, but facially. And then they're called enchanters. That's what's Caucasian fear of black men. When we get around white women, we enchant them. They're called enchanters. Then we devour them. When a white woman gets blackicized, she gets pro-black, starts hating her own race. That's all that bullshit was about in the TV show. Penis envy, definitely such a crude reason to hate. Yeah, but hey, we all got it. There's always somebody bigger. I don't want to think about dudes that got the big monster dicks. I'd be envious too. Fuck it. I get it. I didn't get the special gift. Remember my grandfather, How do we let go of religious programming? To recognize it for what it is. At least for me, this works for me. Like when I see something as just game, it has no effect on me. When I realize that religious programming is part of game has been around since mankind has been around, by the way. When one man rose up to get power over the other man, he used game to get it. I said we're going to talk about the game here, but that's where games first started. Our first original rulers, these so-called kings and queens that did rule us and still rule us to this day, our politicians, they used game to get there. Sorry to reject the idea that we're from kings and queens. There is evidence that we did, those of us who are here in America are actually descended from the original Egyptians, because a black scholar said that they ran to the south, and that's the first people they threw under the bus, those strangers that weren't there since the beginning of time, practically. They were the first tribes they threw out that had low power, but also they conquered other tribes, expanded territory. We know that went on. J10's tribe are the ones that fought the slavers, though. Thank you, J10. Religious programming is used to, he says, as a corrupt form to control our spirituality. See, he sees the truth as well. Crown Chaser at J10. Yeah, he had a PhD in history, but a PhD can't correct a natural bias. Okay, I'm not sure who he's talking about. Let's go back up. Never mind. Ratchet, do you know anything about jelking? Okay, we're going to keep this on the racial stuff, okay? I'm trying to keep these, I got to do this in the future, keep it on one subject. Crown Chase, I meant the whole idea that we came from kings and queens was absurd. Oh, okay. Yeah. It makes some black people deal with being black in America. It makes them feel good. Like I say to white folks, if it makes you feel good, see, I'm saying to black people too, white folks, if you're watching, it's ignorance. Black women call themselves queens, but yet still they're twerking. A queen doesn't twerk. And I don't like the idea of kings and queens. I didn't like it in Europe. I didn't like it in Africa. Unfortunately, the concept came out of Africa. As we spread into Europe, we took that whole concept with us. Tribal leaders. Panani, hey, God did not write the Bible or religion or invented religion. No, God did not. I'm wondering if the talk about dicks made Ratchet feel inferior or something. Joking is about your dick, exercise for the dick. Hey, be happy you have one, Ratchet. I am. I'm not 10 inches. Scale back a few inches. Crown. I meant the whole, yeah. Suddenly I got a whole rash of, looks like comments. Hold on one second, fellas. Nope. Damn. Start it over again. Eric Hills. Garrett now has a chance to show off again. Let's see what he got to show off with. The Greek Old Testament is the only section of the Bible you can trust because it was being used before Council of Nicaea. Yeshua used it. Amstown. Blacks in New York have a huge movement where they believe the black woman is God. I know about that. Brother Polite, I believe it is, as opposed to blacks in other states. We can't call woman God. That brother also has several wives too, by the way. I don't believe in calling her God. I believe in recognizing her importance, woman's importance. I really recognize both our importance. We fit together as nature designed us. Each one has its own strengths. We provide the sperm, she provides the egg and nurturing, and also as evolution has put her in the place of the rearing of our young. J10, that's why my tribe is the most hated by white supremacy. Look what they did to Lumumba. And J10 is it, am I saying it right? Congolese? Did I say that right, J10? Ratchet, no, it's not that I'm okay. I just want a porn star shape one. Don't we all? Have you noticed that the blacks in porn star, the size of their shit ain't in relation to their height? In fact, the shortest ones seem like they got the biggest ones. And the big muscular ones ain't got the biggest ones. It's like God has a way of leveling things out. Let's see, Crown Chaser. I don't also think too that the black community here in America needs to think about some sort of conglomerate contingency plan if in fact it's found that we cannot have equal standing in this country. Supreme, what do you think about the black Hebrew Israelites? I try not to. I'm sorry. I like that one time they, were on the streets arguing with some Mormons. They study religion. They're coming from religion. I come from science. So right away they lost with me. Plus they believe that, and I don't have a problem with blacks. I believe it also that we're the first Hebrews. Because we've spread that land. We're the people that spread into that land. So of course we were living there when the lighter skinned ones came down there. It only makes logical sense. We're the first Arabs. I know that. So I object to their relying on European Bibles so much. This Bible shit. They come from religion. And I'm so, yep, polite. Yeah, I know about them. I do pay attention. Crown Chasers. Sorry, some of my words are not coming well. That's okay. Yeah, I know you're on cell phone. J10. Yes, sir. Yes, he is Congolese. One of the few tribes that fought the slavers. One of the few tribes that had the fortitude and the wisdom and foresight to see what was going on. Never seen that here in New York about black women. Wish I saw more of it. Michael B. Not me. Ratchet. Yes, sir. J10. If you want a big dick, you better be ready to bear the burden. Yeah, he ran into that problem with a female. You made her bleed, right? Or some shit like that. She didn't like it. Michael B. They're mainly in New York City. It's the most conscious place in America. Is it really now? Amstown. He's on my site. Is it really the most conscious place in America? Yeah, it is. They've got the bookstores. They're out there actively trying to wake people up to the real shit. Because one of their leaders has got a quirk. Like, who's that dude that runs the whole thing? The little short black guy with the wore the glasses. I saw him on Donahue when I recognized him. He was on Donahue. And he got up and stood up to stand out, of course. When Khalid Muhammad was on there. I love Khalid Muhammad, by the way. I don't like the path that they forced him down. But I saw him. I can't remember his name. If you want to speak there, you got to go through him. Typical black shit. Short guy with some power. No offense against guys who are vertically challenged, but hey, there's a short guy with power. Sawnetta. Is that Sawnetta TV? Ratchet. What happened with John Horse? John Horse was a black man that fought the whites to a standstill, beat them, and General Stonewall Jackson, to pay him back, massacred an entire town of women and children. He went amongst the Seminoles. Let's see. After that, he took his people down to Mexico. And anybody know what happened after that? I know that some of the Seminole tribes came back to the States, and I don't know if he came back, if he brought the tribes back or not. Of course, they're not going to make any movies about him. Find a good underwear that doesn't make your dick sore, J10 says. I wouldn't know anything about that, Jay. Sorry. Ever thought about visiting Africa? It is, you're right. Thank you. It is something, but yes, I have. I actually had a client. Jovina, yeah. Is my soil still in the refrigerator, the freezer?
Your what?
My soil, my African soil.
It was out here somewhere.
In the garage?
Yeah, you put it out there on shit.
Oh, I have some soil from Africa. A white one bring it back for me. She went on one of those safaris. Buana? Can I kiss your feet, Buana? Panini. Cigarettes and alcohol is other form of control. Just think of all the taxes they slap on the shit. Glad I quit. I'm 5'6". LOL, yeah. Most people, Panini, they're about 5'5" to come here. That's your issue with the game. You see all these taller guys. And girls do like tall men. We know that. But you think that's what stops you from getting women. When you somehow you guys don't see the other guys you're dating lots of chicks. I don't know why. Although Nitro went out to a city, as he talked about, and saw a shorter guy. So he learned the truth himself. Ratchet. I was trying to figure out after Mexico. I'm checking that. Yeah, check into that. I remember, I think they stayed. I hate to say that I used to know, and it's something that's not my memory right now. I'm getting old. Night Shroud. Speaking of Night Shroud. Speaking of the devil. Yeah, devil you. Let's see. Hollywood needs to stop whitewashing stuff. It's not just Hollywood either. Look at the white Jesus. That was not an accurate depiction of Jesus as an Aramaic man. No, it's not. But as you know, that was Pope Borgia's son, as we learn the real truth. But it's good to see that what Italians look like after the sacking, the Visigoths sacked Rome, they began to have blonde hair and blue eyes too. JT, my mother said when Martin Luther King died, the army instilled a curfew and whites were freaked out. A night shroud. Really? So in your, wait a minute, you were in this, your mother must have been in this country then. Was that in your country or in this country? And your mother was here that early? I didn't realize Africans were coming back in the 60s, if so. Let me know. I'm curious. Nice route. There was this Egyptian god movie that came out recently that had white people playing. Yeah, the reason why that failed is because of social media. Blacks rose up against that. In fact, before the movie came out, I saw blacks in England rise up against that shit. Nice route. When Rome conquered Egypt, there was some white people in power, but that was, yeah, the Ptolemy or Ptolemaic dynasty. Is it Ptolemy or Ptolemy? I think it's Ptolemy. The P is silent, like Django. The D is silent. Panani. The only issue I have with my height, I am a great goalkeeper, but in soccer they have to be at least 6 feet. Oh, okay. Nice route. Yeah, don't say my name 3 times in a row, Supreme. I might appear like Beetlejuice. That's funny. That was a good one. Gods of Egypt. That shit flopped because black people. Thank you to my race to the black, intelligent black society for rising up. J10. No, she was still there as a younger. Okay, thanks. So that happened there. Okay. I'd heard that Africa was watching what was going on in America. That a lot of your movements were based upon what was going on here in America. Ross J. Tube. Black people in LA seem very friendly. Black people actually greet you and have conversations. Really? Glad to hear that. In Sacramento, they just stare at you. The only black Egyptian god was gay in the movie. You see, well, in the TV show I was talking about, they had the black man raping, I forgot to mention this, having sex with his daughter. And also, of course, his daughter was a black woman. They made it argumentative. You guys notice that? And evil.
Take over the world.
They made her argumentative, just like black women are. They made her snide and just despicable. Like even the look on her face. When I first saw the bitch, I hated her. I knew what they're going to do. So they do that. They either make the black woman fat, sassy, mammy types or dark-skinned evil, something of the evil. They also made the black guy turn bad that was on there, but then they brought him back to being okay. That's Hollywood for you. They're still fucking with our minds on a subconscious level. If you're just watching the show, you wouldn't even know this stuff registering for you. If you're white, you would never notice it. You just lap it up. Okay, black women are not good. They're evil. And unfortunately, black women soak it up as well. And of course, we know that black women tend to be very argumentative. The ones that are ghetto. Now, they don't mention the good church black women out there. They never bring those ones up. And if you like light-skinned ones, there are light-skinned ones in the church. I don't have a problem with the church because those women are easy to control because of the church. They're easier to control. The best horror movie ever was The Candyman. The only horror that still makes me jump. Really? That shit was a joke to me. Yeah, that tall, super tall black dude. I think he's like 6'5". That deep voice. Yeah, I watched both of them. I was with a half Portuguese, half Italian, or half Irish girl watching that. Susie Bertel, yeah. Hey, don't hate half. She don't mean that. She don't mean half-ass Portuguese. She's clowning. What show is this? What show is the name of the show we watch? I forgot again already. I'm rejecting Defiance. Go watch season 3. Download it, Night Trout. or you can go to, you can watch them at Free TV, projectfreetv.so. Projectfreetv.so. Just watch which one are we on? Number 11? Watch number 11. You can get all of them there, but go to season 3, number 11. Yeah, 10 or 11. Number 11, she tries to kill her own, or take over her own father. They're fucking, and she's jealous because the father now is enamored with a Castian, who's the albino, the super white race of aliens.
He's obsessed with her.
And black men, we do tend to be obsessed with white women. Myself included. I was obsessed with them. So I can admit the truth to myself. Many of you blacks won't admit it to yourself. Okay? I had that white supremacy programming still in me, operating in the background like a little sub-program. That's another reason why I like this show, because they show all the things that happen to the mind when programming gets in there. I had the sub-programming. But then, as you know, at the end of my game, I was trying to find someone black to settle down with when I met Jovina. I tried 2 mulattoes, and they didn't work out. I still was going for the light-skinned ones, though. Although the one mulatto, I didn't even think she was a mulatto. And she said her dad was really, really dark-skinned. J10, now you see why they are trying to divide Africans from African Americans. It's not like here at home where white structure protects you. Whites have to be cautious when they're out of the country. Eric Hills, once this race war ends, something else way worse than we can imagine is coming. No offense against my Asian watchers, but the worst for me if China took over. If you want to see racist and the desire to inflict unimaginable cruelty, look what will happen if China rules, or Korea. That's my greatest fear. I'll run back to white folks. At least I get to have my business. I get to have some kind of self-respect about myself. You know, not to make Asian look bad, but hey, I'll run to white folks if it came between a choice between Asian masters or white masters. Sorry, my Asian brothers. I lived in Japan. And I'm not trying to compare the Japanese mind to the Chinese mind, but you know yourselves the racism that the dominant Asian race has. Look at how Japanese treated the Koreans back in the days. Look how the Japanese treated Chinese back in the days. And then look at the racism within China. They were so racist they didn't want to believe they were descended from Africa. And they still don't want to accept that. By the way, Supreme, tell you guys to stop smoking weed. He's right. I've been trying to tell him that. A night trout. And VHS was great. Okay, I'm missing some shit. Okay, a night trout. And VHS was great. The one part was with the succubus was a good story. VHS. What is VHS? That sounds familiar. It was a TV show, right? Or, I mean, a movie. The one where the guy meets the girl and she can fly in VHS. I don't recognize the show or movie. Just vaguely. Eric Ratchet says true. J10 says, till the guy stops smoking weed. Ratchet. New York, yeah, that vampire broad was, or he's saying the nitrile actually, was kind of hot. She gave the dude dome after she killed his friends. What is VHS? Sorry, I don't do anachronism like you guys do on the internet. Like DHV and those other nerd things. I don't do that. I'm old. We didn't have old shit like that in my age. We just said what we meant. I heard they branded you for stealing. Not sure what Ratchet is going at. I just jumped down. Daz, what's your thoughts on black men smoking weed? Daz, I'm a proponent and I speak just yesterday, I speak out against it because a couple of things. The weed they make today, as Type and She will also tell you, if you know who he is, it bonds with our melanin to make it twice as addictive. Number two, if you study the history of it, it was funneled into our community by white people to get us addicted to it. Why? To pacify us so that we don't rise up. My generation and the current generation are notorious weed smokers. My generation started it, by the way, fellas. It was getting popular when I was in high school. All my old high school friends started. I tried it till I got high for the first time, and never again. I'm glad enough intelligence. Okay? And I said intelligence. It takes real intelligence not to fall for it. But remember, I woke up to the truth. I started seeing the truth in 9th grade. Before that, I was wondering what's wrong with people. Eric Hills. Everyone got programmed because it's only beautiful if it fits European standards of beauty, but I saw past that shit. Michael B. No offense. I always found white chicks overrated. I mean, they're everywhere. I would probably always prefer a fine ethnic chick over a fine white one. I got the programming my generation. I saw someone talking about Professor Black Truth exposes racist Asians all the time. I know that. Ratchet. Yeah, it was a demonic movie. VHS. Does that sound... Oh, wait a minute. VHS. That was where they had some kind of signal. Was that the movie where they had a signal? Fuck. You guys always fucking with me, man. Gotta look this shit up. They made it number 2, too. I think I saw number 1. That's why it seems familiar. 2012. You guys go on talking. I'm going to look at the trailer for this.
Okay, here's the deal. We got to break into this house, and all we have to do is steal this one VHS tape. Found it! You got it? Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't watch.
Which one is this one?
I don't like this type of cheaply made movies. Started with Blair Witch, and I just hate it when everybody that want to make a fucking movie start doing that. That pretend to be live shit. Every time I see it now, I just click to the next movie. That's why I didn't recognize it. I started to watch it and I just couldn't do it. Amstown, okay, got that. J10, the original use of weed was used as a spiritual gateway during rituals. Since our melanin has a strong spiritual link, weed was used to enhance certain seances. I just learned something. I thought it was used by Native Americans for that purpose. I didn't realize that it was also used in Africa for that purpose. Or are you... Yeah, never mind. Let's see. Panini, VHS, the tapes that would always get stuck in the VHS recorder. There was one where they had a series of where you watched the video and shit started happening to you. I remember that one. Roz, I remember when a black person told me the Asians can be allies to blacks when they take over. No. Asians are smart. They only promote themselves. Except maybe Americanized ones who have been assimilated into the American culture, like our brother Dukes. Dukes would be considered a traitor to the race by China. And let's not go anti-Asian here. We're starting with the original source of our problem right now, which are the people that control the white race, the power behind the white race. So we're not speaking out against white folks per se. We're speaking out against the power behind them, because we recognize there is a power behind them that got them to the top. And you don't get to the top by being nice, of course. You get to the top by being the most ruthless motherfuckers on the planet. And I do believe in the genetic engineering of the white race for that purpose, or the evolution of the white race for that, because they are the most ruthless warriors on the planet. I say that as a word of a compliment, sort of a compliment to their group as being the dominant race on the planet. You don't get the dominant by not being the most ruthless motherfuckers on the planet. By any means necessary. Where do you think Malcolm X got that ideology from, by any means necessary? It came from Napoleon originally, by the way. So, yeah. You don't get to the top by being nice and shaking hands. You get to the top by being the most ruthless motherfuckers on the planet. Whether verbally, breaking your deals, or through pure viciousness. Look at the truth of Thanksgiving and how the real truth of what happened Thanksgiving. They slaughtered over 1,000 women and children and gave thanks to that. Slaughtered the men and went and slaughtered all the women and kids. They didn't get to the top by being the nicest race on the planet. Look how they fought amongst each other all those years to perfect their craft. Now, certain people on my forum believe that we're all being engineered by aliens, or by this dominant group of people, rather words, for the purpose of creating a warrior race. And if you look at the history of man, you could actually see that we're color coded, so that the dominant society people can actually recognize us. So whites would be the warriors. Yes, blacks, we are very powerful, strong people, but we don't have that kind of ruthlessness within us. Do you see black people jumping off mountains or bridges with a rubber band strapped to your ass? Do you see us climbing to the tops of mountains? What race does that? White folks. You got to give them credit for that. Going where no man has gone before. Yeah, I know. They're the ones that wrote that shit. A white man wrote that shit, right? So we got to give them credit where credit's due. They got to the top. We didn't. Yes, we were at the top at one time, but they took it from us. Yes, they took it from underhanded shit, but they still took it from us. And they came and warred with us. We won, but we eventually fell. They kept coming back till they won. Yes, they took all of our information, mathematics, astronomy. They stole it all. But who owns it now? They do. Yes, we can call them liars, thieves. Who's at the top? Let's be real about it. Okay? So we're not gods. We're the original man. We're the original creators of all this, as they say, knowledge. The oldest calendar is in Africa. We were tracking the stars 20,000 years ago, 70,000 years ago. In order for example, the Mayans to know about 2012, you had to, or let's say the different star positions. There's one that's 25,000, rotates every 25,000 years. You had to be around to see the change and been tracking it. I don't know if you guys are aware of that. So you had to see it at least a few times. So the black race is a lot older than we know. Whatever form it was in, whatever form intelligence began to grow on this planet was in. And I know the white folks want to say it was aliens that gave it to us, if that makes them feel better. The Anunnaki from heavens came. See, I got into that when I was in high school, when I was a kid. Panini, VHS, let's see, Roz. I remember when a black person told me, okay, I did that. Did you talk about your kids about starting their own business? Yeah, 2 of my kids own their own business. Or did they just move into that on their own? As Donnie said, my father was an entrepreneur, and that's why I became one. And of course, I told my son that, because nobody would hire him, my son Tracy. As you guys know, it's always the youngest the baby that breaks your heart. He broke my heart, my ex-wife's heart. He got in with this Asian gang, started stealing cars. In fact, he was bragging about to me that, I was driving and he would be right beside me when he was in high school. And I never saw him. They were there in the car, stolen car, giggling. Eventually, you get caught. He got caught. Only child to mastermind and engineer an escape from juvenile hall in Sacramento. He's the only one that ever did that. I got to give him the brains for that. But besides the head, I thought I was looking at his mom, because he didn't have the big head that we have in our family, but he's got some brains. You ain't got to have a fat head to have some brains, I realized. I learned. But nobody would hire him. He couldn't keep a job because they find out he'd lie about not being in trouble. He loved clothes because the girls he was getting were all buying him new clothes, and he was working at this used clothes, so he loved it. He had a job he loved. They found out about his past and they fired him, rightfully so. So I told him that, start a business. So both my kids who are entrepreneurs, yes, they got it from me. And I deliberately encouraged my youngest son to start a business. I said, find something that you love to do. And his credit was bad because, how blacks, how they use their kids' credit? Well, his brothers did that while he was locked up. So he fixed his own credit. Let's see. Ratchet, you can find it on putlocker.is. I like Putlocker. But when you go on the site, there's a lot of pop-ups. Yeah, I know. I hate the fucking pop-ups, Ratchet. J10. Only certain priests were allowed to use. I did not know that. Since fucking lost it. See, I didn't know that. I know that when they came to America, that was one of the crops they were raising. So I always thought it was a Native American thing. Unless there's a certain type, I guess maybe weed. I do know that there are different esoteric drugs that grow all over the planet. Like the Indians out west used a mushroom to get their spiritual. Some of them smoke that's the wacky tobacco, as they call it. Damn, I do really need to catch up these comments. I'm sorry, fellas. Time to eat? Okay. All right. Only certain priests were allowed to use weed since they are mentally and spiritually strong. J10. Now, black people are using weed with their pineal gland wide open with current whitewashed programming. Wow, you made the connection. Thank you. That's the connection. Why we're so easy to dumb down. I wonder if Amon-Ra smokes weed. What caused him to get dumbed down by this bullshit? Eric, do you smoke? And be honest. Supreme, imagine a hangout with your two sons that were players and Grease just chopped. I would never, ever do that, and I resent you even bringing it up. Okay? I'm not trash. I would never involve they're my kids. I resented that I did a video with my son talking in it about the game. I resent that he actually knows that I do this. Sorry, Eric. I'm really protective of my kids, as a father should be. And I don't want their image of me being some old pimp dude or some old player. I didn't like that in my own father. I hated it about my father. That he was a player, by the way. What is your father? Is he a player? Is he in the picture? My dad wouldn't leave. Instead of, kept sticking around. I would expect him more if he actually went out and played. Instead of being the child of one. I paid for that shit, by the way, because I'm the one that looked most like him. I had the lightest skin in the fucking family, yellow on the chest. My mom made me pay dearly for that shit. I got extension cord beatings over that shit. So I've got some issues about it. Plus, I resented my dad did that. Even to the day he fucking died, man. He was still trying. Supreme. No, I'm not even going to read that again, man. Sorry to get irritated. Eric, you're young. You don't understand. You're not a father. In other words, white supremacy have taken the mantle of the priest. That's what they're talking about in Hidden Colors 4. White folks' religion isn't Christianity. It's white supremacy. Because that's what they will fight tooth and nail to keep, is that power. And I understand why. I can understand why if a black can pass as white, why he would do that. Because, it sucks. I think that's what my dad's anger was, because he told me his sisters could pass as Native American, but he couldn't, nor his brothers, and they would get better jobs. Just because of their hair. My dad's hair was curly. Well, when it was short, it was straight, but when it got longer, it did the ringlet thing. And then finally it could go like that. Big deal. Amstown. Yeah, the problem now is that they're smoking weed to escape from the reality rather than enhance their creativity. Okay, weed doesn't enhance your creativity. That's a myth. Okay? Just think how powerful their brains would be without the weed, Amstown. There was a black dude that said, I smoke it to enhance my creativity. Dumbass. Was that you? No, that wasn't you, Amstown. You think of how powerful their brains could be without it. Ratchet. My texts are real slow, but who's behind the white people then? That is a good question. And I get called a conspiracy theorist, even though there's blatant evidence. People who are behind, the people that meet in this grove in California once a year, the people that sponsor that whole thing, they're the ones behind it. Not necessarily the people that attend, they're the worker bees of these people. But we look at the super mega trillionaires on the planet. Do you think they want to lose power? They're the people that finance wars, which I'm sure you've heard of. So I'm not going to avoid all the conspiracy shit. I'm just give you something you can accept. You've heard, that there are people that finance the wars, right? Like here in America, our President Bush, his grandfather or father actually, was financing both sides of the German conflict. You've heard of that truth, right? These people, do you think they would not want to keep their power and money? Do you think they would not hire the mega think tanks to figure out how to engineer control? Now these people, they used to be the kings and queens amongst the planet, and there weren't very many of them. They call themselves the so-called royal family. And if you look at the history of Europe, you see all the breeding program that they've used. All you got to do is watch any of those programs that come out of England where they worship the kings and queens and how they, had the marriage, set up marriage stuff. Even to the point of marrying brother and sister. They're the ones. Do your own research and prove me wrong if you doubt me. If anybody doubts me, do your own research. Okay? They go by the names of like the mega rich, basically. The Rockefellers, the Morgans. Okay? The super rich. Now, there's certain people on my forum that believe that it's actually an ancient race. And I don't know if I can accept that just yet. Okay? But I do know what I can see. And it makes logical sense. these mega rich, I'm talking about the mega rich. And I've seen the documentation coming out of their, from stuff released from their inner group. One of their kids. I think it was one of the Rockefeller kids. But I can understand. I mean, these people, think about it, they never have to want for food, ever. Their great grandkids will never want for food. They own the mega corporations. They control the fucking planet. So of course they would want to control and make sure that one race stays in control, and the race they look like them. They don't believe, I think their inner belief is that they really are these blessed people. That's their own religion. I don't have no idea about the validity of that. I haven't looked into it. So let's move on. Jerome King, how do you create a black community group that is based on learning, knowledge, and business? Go look for the Black Authority. It's already started. Go look also for Professor Black Truth. Again, that group has already started right here on the internet. They're the main ones doing it. They actually listen to elders of, I guess I'm in between generation, or maybe they are my generation, but the scholars of my generation that say we got to get together and create economic wealth. But they're doing it. J10 says exactly, Amstown 510, how can you be created when you're high all the time? He means creative. And he says I meant creative. Amstown says, LOL, exactly. So now you recognize that is a mistake, Amstown. When your mind's twisted, whatever makes you think you're going to get anything good from a twisted mind. And we know that rappers, when they write a lot of their shit, they're high. Look at rap today. No. So you think we should be more ruthless? No. White folks can wipe us out in this country overnight if they rose up against us. All of them rose up against us. That's why I got my bug out bag out there. So I at least hide somewhere and hide it out, wait it out. I was a Boy Scout. I'm prepared. Eric Hill, since your energy vampire, describe the experience when it occurs. Also, what happens when you suck energy from women? How does it feel? It feels good. Strange question to ask right now, but it feels good. When I have that, I pull energy out of a woman and it feels good. Marion Dowley, what's up, player? What's up, Marion? Brandon May, Supreme, did you see the trailer for that movie, A United Kingdom? It looks like it's going to have a lot of old, bad programming towards Africans. No, I haven't. But, fuck. What are they doing now? I'm looking at a picture of a... Is that a interracial couple? Or is she high-skinned yellow mulatto?
Father will hate him on sight. He's cleverer than him, and he's black.
He's black?
She might change her mind.
I've met the man I want to spend my life with.
Are you insane?
How'd that sound, Punani?
British.
Black.
And she's a salesman's daughter.
My grandfather was a king. I am his heir. I have a responsibility to return home to my people. I will never achieve anything worthwhile if
When I look
leave
at Africans, I
my
see the
heart
natural man, the natural physique. This brother has big arms.
I am the government's representative in
muscularity.
Southern Africa. The policy of apartheid.
The way the human body was designed to
If you
work.
choose to marry the leader
Before
of an
we
African
adapted
nation,
to certain
you
environments.
will be responsible for the downfall of the British Empire
I've seen
in
Africans
Africa.
at the
Have
gym I
you
go
no
to.
shame?
Over 2
Just wait.
decades of preparing you to be our king.
Now my son's
This is how
Christopher,
we
he's a
face
hard
you.
act to beat.
How long before the village dust gets in our eyes?
He did his
I am
DNA
told that you no
mostly
longer
Molly.
wish for me to honor my duty as your king because of the color of the wife I have chosen.
Who do you
I think it
think
was
will
Molly.
accept you?
You belong to the whites, but they won't want you either.
I am ready to serve you because I love my people. I love this land. But I love my wife.
Now you will see how.
That's kind of position I'm in too. You know, I want to move black consciousness forward, but who's baking my food? I just kind of yelled at her today going into the restaurant this morning. I was talking about, you know, black folks, and I said, get your ass in the restaurant. Because she was saying something I didn't agree with. You know, trying to tell me about black people.
You can disagree with me, you don't have to yell at me.
Yeah, I know. I apologize for that. I didn't mean to cuss at her.
I think you know about my people, and I try to tell you, and sometimes you
I don't try to tell you about your people. I don't. But I know everything, damn it.
know it all. Turns out you don't know shit.
I don't know about the Portuguese. Let's see. Supreme. Oh, okay, so I see the trailer. It's an English movie, obviously, and I'll probably watch it when it comes out, see what it's about. The game of life is cold. There are predators and prey, winners and losers. This sounds familiar. Like he's quoting somebody. Do you wish you keep your real name private or kept a separation between your online persona and your regular life? Wait, hold on. Mixing two different things. Okay, there are predators. Those who usually succeed are the ones who have the ability to leave their conscious. The Martians will take a lot of people to Mars. Okay, Panani, very funny. What are you making? Hey, Supreme, what's the name of your wife's site? Where she... Jovina and I are not married. Hear me stuttering? But we're like married. We have... Actually, after all these years, she could take half. It's called common law.
Half of what?
Yeah, half of what? That's right. An old ass truck outside. I barely make it month after month. I put myself in this position, by the way. I chose not to come out with a new product. I chose not to involve myself deeply in the community. I need to take a break. I chose to minimize my offline business. It was by choice. I had to back away from everything for a while. I chose not to help, to be of service. I'm having noodle soup, it looks like. I'm not supposed to have that, but I'm on vacation.
The last 2 days of vacation is contract.
Okay, last 2 days of vacation. Since I started having stuff like that, I'm coughing again. She's trying to kill me.
I'm not trying to kill. It's not trying to.
So her site is called howtodressformen.com. Okay? Howtodressformen.com. Panini. Yes, I used to smoke weed when I was 17, but I quit in 2000 when I was 22. You're pretty old. Eric, I apologize, Supreme. That was wrong of me crossing. It's okay, man. I said you're young. Sorry I got pissed. Good job, Panini. Yeah, I'm sorry, Panini. Good job on that. Amsa, no, I don't smoke weed. I believe you. No, I'm kidding. Aries, I can't say rideshare, man. That's your, is that your, was that Uber channel? Aries? No one knows Mystery's or Tyler's real name. Mystery's real name is, I just said it, it's in my, I'm going to release some videos on the forum. I already know his name, and I just can't recall it. Tyler's name is Owen. Owen something that Their real names are known. He asked me though, hey, during times when weirdos try to break into your personal life, do you wish you kept your real name private? Being like that doesn't occur to me. I'm a man. I think like a black man. Let me put it like that. It is Europeanized black men that would do something like that. Don't you agree? Or wouldn't you agree? Black men, we tend to be straight up, right? I'm not trying to put down a race. I'm just knowing what I've learned. European types, they'll have different screen names. They'll pretend to be black on some screen names. They do that kind of stuff. Black folks, we come at you straight. Has anyone who's white noticed that? Like in real life, European descent folks, they'll try to sue you. Black folks will attack you physically as payback for something. Okay? So the thought of it never would even have occurred to me. I did try to keep it separate in the beginning, but it just didn't last. I didn't care. I didn't want people, the weirdos, tracking me down. I do keep my address hidden because there were. Remember, what I'm dealing with dumb society people. Some of these guys can be kind of crazy. You look at the trolls. I just talked to the troll the other day. He's the guy that spent $5. I asked him about that. You know, you spent $5 to get my videos thumbed down? I made you that emotional? So having someone drive by and shoot into my house, you know, with domicile, I'm sorry to say this, but I'm a black man. I've lived through this stuff. I had a pair of twins shoot into my mom's house when I was a kid. Okay? And I never told you that story. I just went to the freezer. My dad taught me how to scoop out the bottom part of the ice cream to steal ice cream because she didn't want us eating the ice cream. I wish I'd listened to her, but I just scooped out the bottom. Hadn't broken through yet. You know, she always got pissed when she would get us some ice cream and dig through it, and it would go to a fucking hole at the bottom. I had just stole some ice cream out of the freezer. I slammed the door and I went out to the garage because they had built a room out there, and I was kind of living out there. I was trying to separate myself from the family. Also, we heard this boom, and we ran back into the house, and the Galliano twins had shot I never turned them in. It shot into our house because we traded cars. We sold each other cars, stuff like that. Mike Riviera Grand Sport, the motor mount was. I told him the motor mount was busted, but I didn't know the A-frame was broke. I was told it was the motor mount. And so when I talked about them in my past shows. I had this Riviera Grand Sport 6.7 with a roll odometer, and you press on the gas, the motor rose up. So I couldn't step on the gas. It was a cruising car anyway. The seat was raggedy. It was my first car. I saved up my money working at the hobby sales store on base, and I used to walk by it every day. That's why I learned about the law of attraction at an early age. I would touch the car. I'd envision myself driving it. That car stayed for sale. Didn't know why, but I happened to be the idiot that bought it until I actually had enough money to pay the guy for it. So he had was it that car? No, I traded that car with Martinez, and then I had a Chevelle Super Sport. Chevelle Super Sport. That something on the back, they didn't tell me that there was a piece of the metal broken in the back. But we traded cars. We ended up treating each other. I was honest about the motor mount. Because, you could tell. But they came back and said, it's the A-frame, man. And then I found out that because they had the thrust shifter. It had a 386 rat motor in it. They fucking jacked up the rear end on it. So I sold it to the Galliano twins. And they didn't like the sale, so they shot it in my mom's house. So I've been shot at before. Just missed me. I just walked out of the room. I guess they were outside sitting in their car, and I would have had a bullet in my head. Just a closed refrigerator, went out the door. You know, I usually ran out the door, slammed it. Bam! We heard this. The whole family came in. But I didn't do anything to them, actually. I should have kicked their ass. This noodle shit is getting soggy. I had to eat my lunch, fellas. So I've experienced that. So I know to protect myself, though. Yeah, my name's Chris Arnett. I don't like people use my name because I earned the name Player Supreme. And I never liked the name Chris. That's my only issue with it. My mom didn't give me the full name Christopher. Of course, she had to fuck me on my first name. Just call me Chris. Whose name is just Chris? That's why I named my son Christopher. I always had issues against that. And also, I was born, feet first. So I started life the wrong way. That's the way I look at it. Let's see. Ratchet Kingdom. Yeah, it makes sense now. Okay, good. J10. There are also 2 Black Magic Negroes movies coming out. Really? It's Voodoo Satanic Witchcraft? ? Panini, I love your channel because I have a love of knowledge. Good. J10 says, damn, I think what it is, you're east from me now. Damn, if I think what it is, you're east of me now. I'm not sure what he's saying. Hall Famazing. What did you mean blacks only? Why? Because my message was designed at black people. The original part of the first part of the show, I'm only talking to black people about the idiocy that's going on within the black community. That's all. That's why. You're welcome to watch if you want. I don't have a problem with that, but I wanted to warn you because there's some white folks, they just want me to talk about the game. Okay? They don't want me to talk. They get mad when I talk about history stuff or black issues. They really get upset. That's why I said black, so that you know when you come in here that I'm talking about black issues. Okay? J10, congrats on the Uber gig. I wish I knew about that earlier. Thanks, man. He says, right along says, J10 was talking to Aries Sensei. Okay, gotcha. Looks like I'm catching up to the comments, if not already caught up. Good. So, Hall Famazing. I had complaints. When I teach from here. I don't teach A, B, C, D like you would get in a European descent school, like in America. A1, all that kind of stuff. I teach from in here. And a lot of stuff that comes out of here is from my experience in life as a black man. And I try to apply that to the game, but also I care for my race because I am black. And I want to help my race get better, right? That's okay with you, right? Not that I need your permission, but it's okay for everybody to want to help their own. So I talk about black subjects a lot. And I can understand why your race may not like it if you're Caucasian. Hold on. I'm a real human being. I do have to eat lunch. Sorry to eat in front of you guys, but it's really not that good either. You tried. But I'm going to have to close out the show since there are no more questions, it looks like. I can go off and eat my lunch as I finish up with... if you go back in time, what advice would you give your 20-year-old self? Save your money, Chris. Because you're going to get old one day. Save your money. I'm happy with my progress. It was slow in the game to final rise of ultimate power. I'm okay with that. I don't want to learn something real fast. I'm glad it took time to marinate and season in my life. Because I already abused the powers as I learned to get the power. Then I learned to be mature with the power over women. Ratchet. Seems like after I quit the alcohol and drugs, my confidence came natural in all situations. I'm sorry you got into that. I'm very happy that you got out of it. Panini, I love history on America and the real stuff, not the bullshit Tea Party. See, that's kind of Caucasian people I like talking to. That doesn't have an attitude with talking about what I talk about here. He wants to know more on American history. J10, the two magic Negro movies I'm talking about, Mr. Church with Eddie Murphy, and Some Kind of Different, and Same Kind of Different as Me with Dijon Haunsu. No, sorry, can't see the word. Jamon Haunsu. Did you know that African names sound like they're a lot of them sound like they're Japanese? Interesting. Not that one sounds Japanese. Actually, it does. Now I think about it. But some of the language and the names. Because remember, I lived in Japan as a kid twice. How did you get into the flow of business and women and maintain it? Oh, man. The flow of business. I started reading, you've seen my library on metaphysics. This is before that whole law of attraction bullshit. I started reading on that because I learned it at an early age, though. Since 6th grade, I was wondering what was wrong with me. Just like why Grease came to train with me, because he was going to a therapist because he didn't know what's wrong with him. So I was able to show him the energy was going on. Help him understand it. So I started, I learned about energy and all that kind of stuff. So I applied naturally to my life and also with women. I believe that's where I learned to tap into the flow. And of course, I'm going to maintain it because I believe in it. When you believe something, it's in your mind. Don't have to maintain it. Just you maintain it yourself. You do it naturally. It's not something I had to work at maintaining. If that makes sense. Okay, fellas. It's my lunch time. Oh, man, they absorbed all the water. And she made me a huge bowl. I'm going to request a smaller bowl. I'm going to eat just a portion of this. I can't eat 2 packs anymore.
Oh, man. Eat what you can.
Yeah. Let me get a bottle of water at least, man, to wash this shit down. And use the white meat, man. I can't stand, not racial. I don't like white meat. I like dark meat because it's tender. White meat is dry. Not being racial.
Let me take some of those noodles out of there.
That'd be nice. Here, take this slop back.
This damn thing.
Why did you just make me an omelet?
Because you had an omelet for breakfast.
Why an omelet for breakfast? Yeah. Okay. All right, fellas. I got to go. I got food to eat because I'm a real human being. Peace.